Don't look now, but Republicans actually have a chance to win the New Jersey governorship. Current Governor Phil Murphy is term limited, and former Republican state lawmaker Jack Ciattarelli is running a spirited campaign against Democrat Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill. Polls now show this is a very close contest. There's a recent survey showing that Ciattarelli and Sherrill are each getting about 44% of the vote. Tied. Rising energy bills, inflation, property taxes, and the overall cost of living are top concerns with New Jersey voters. Democrats made those problems worse in Jersey for years, so you would think they would give Republicans a chance. Sherrill has pushed proposals like declaring a state of emergency to freeze electric bill hikes, a move Ciattarelli has rightly described as gimmicky. Like, what if it was that easy? What if rising electric bills, you could just say, well, state of emergency, electricity shouldn't cost as much. That is command control over the economy. And it is a stark contrast to what President Trump has led, where we are building the productive sectors of the economy. We are making more, building more, fueling more. You do that, everybody thrives. You just use the power of government to say state of emergency, energy costs less, and you end up with challenges that are far worse. Now, on the flip side, Ciattarelli is calling for withdrawing New Jersey from the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. That is an organization that imposes undue costs on residents. Imagine that. Deregulation as a mechanism to lower costs. Voter frustration with the political status quo and Democrat governance is generally helping Ciattarelli in a state that has seen Democrat rule for quite some time. Democrats nationally are under pressure, which is putting a drag on Sherrill. There are a lot of federal workers in New Jersey, and so we wonder if the decisions by Chuck Schumer for his own political benefit will end up hurting Mikey Sherrill. Now, her alignment with the national brand of the party is giving Ciattarelli room. It's room to tie her to these broader negative sentiment about Democrats getting in the way of progress. But ultimately, elections are about the ballots submitted. We learned that the hard way. Cliff Maloney led PA Chase, an organization that many have credited with harvesting the needed ballots for a winning effort in 2024. Cliff Maloney has dispatched now to Jersey for this big race, and he joins us now. Cliff, before we get to Jersey, I just want to set the stage what you did in Pennsylvania, how significant that was, because in really just one election cycle, we had to recondition Republican voters to vote by mail, to vote early, so that there were ballots to go chase. Talk a little bit about that Pennsylvania win, the tactics that you used, and then we'll get into whether or not Jersey is close enough for that type of a squeeze to make the difference.
Well, Matt, look, you had me on your show probably, a year ago, maybe 8 months ago. We were talking Pennsylvania, talking about what was happening. And you were one of the first that kind of gave me a platform. So I want to say thank you to that. A lot of people, when we launched the PHA's program, a lot of people said, look, we just don't trust it. Well, look, man, I don't trust it either, right? I'd love to have a single day of voting. But the problem is you have to play by the rules. You have to fight fire with fire. And all we did in Pennsylvania is we said, we're going to take the Democrat playbook, the Biden tactics of 2020, and we're going to run it back for Trump in 24. And we did just that. We knocked 500,000 doors in Pennsylvania. We had Airbnbs throughout the state. And we took Trump's share of the mail-in from 20% that he got against Biden to 34.5% against Harris. If we compete when it comes to mail-in votes, and then we obviously dominate turnout on Election Day, that's the playbook for Republicans winning.
I have always been obsessed with the mail-in vote in every election I've ever had, from state representative to Congress to working on governor and presidential campaigns, because the voter is at the point of sale for the longest period of time when they request a mail-in ballot. And so, if someone is an Election Day voter, they're going to be convinced to vote or not based on Election Day. But if you can get that voter to be a mail voter, you have an extended period of time to go to their door, make a phone call, send a text message, send a social media message, and going from 20% to 34% on that mail-in vote, that is because you guys were there doing the ground and pound work of politics. So bring us now to Jersey. Let's start with just, is this a winnable race, and what are the numbers about ballots telling you?
NJ is in play. You've heard it here on the Matt Gaetz Show. New Jersey is definitely a winnable race. Look, I looked at this a couple months ago. I was not as optimistic as I am now. We have launched the New Jersey Chase program. We've got 105 individuals in the state of New Jersey. I'm here right now out in Morristown, New Jersey, but we're chasing ballots. I mean, polls recently have it as tight as 44-44, 43-43. So it's really going to come down to, can Jack Ciattarelli compete in vote by mail? And Matt, let me make one comparison here. If you look at Trump Biden in 2020 in the state of Pennsylvania, and you look at the very next year where Ciattarelli ran for governor in New Jersey in 21 against Murphy, those numbers are practically identical. And so what I mean by that is Ciattarelli got crushed when it came to mail-in votes in 21, but did very well on election day, very similar to what Trump did in PA in 2020. So I'm using that comparison to tell all of the Matt Gaetz Show viewers it's winnable if we compete when it comes to vote by mail. So my entire job right now with the NJ Chase program is to go out to every Republican that's not likely to vote on election day to get them to vote right now by mail or make a plan to vote early. If we compete by mail and early, and we do what we did in 21 in terms of turnout, Jack Ciattarelli will be the next governor of New Jersey.
And what percent of the mail-in vote does he have to get to send you into Election Day feeling very confident that he's going to be the next governor?
So he roughly got 23% last time he ran. We'd have to see an increase of somewhere between 7 to 10%. It's pretty similar, once again, to what we called for in PA. If Jack Ciattarelli gets roughly 33% of the mail-in vote, I don't believe he can lose. He could win with as little as 30%, but 33% is that number that we're going to keep aiming for. You use that model, and it looks like if he matches the turnout from 21, he becomes governor. So 33% is what we're aiming for. We could potentially win with 30, but I like to aim high. That way, if we fall a little short, we can still come up with a victory.
I do want to talk about Newark because I remember in 2021, the rest of New Jersey really overperformed for Ciattarelli, but then late in the evening, we saw the Newark counts really swell for Phil Murphy in that contest. Are you confident that there is sufficient infrastructure to do the election monitoring, to do the poll watching, to ensure that there's chain of custody on those ballots? Because that is something in Newark that would really be concerning me.
Yeah, two things that we learned in Pennsylvania that we're now applying here in New Jersey. Number one, we've got eyes and ears everywhere. And why do we have that? Because I have 100 paid full-time people on the ground right now. And people don't realize the value of this. In 2020, we didn't have chasers because everyone said vote on election day. And so you didn't just organically have eyes and ears out in the communities monitoring different things, getting to report them in. So that's the first, is we have this team, 105 full-timers right now. They're watching, they're listening, they're reporting things in. The second thing is, because this is nationalized, this race is becoming a national audience of people paying attention and participating. Because of that, we have people coming in, not just from within the state, but people from around the country, lawyers, poll watchers. If folks want to, reach out to the Ciattarelli campaign right now. If you want to come chase ballots with us, njchase.org. Join us right now. But Matt, those are the two things that give me confidence. We've got eyes and ears since August 4th, since we've been here. And then we've got a nationally focused race, something that didn't happen in 2021. So people are coming in from all over the place, lawyers, poll watchers. They are analyzing. They are going to be tracking. That gives me confidence in the race.
And by the way, what you just described is what the Democrats have traditionally done, where they have these high-profile contests. They surge in their best operatives, their best legal talent, their best organizers, and they play to win. And you're doing, you are the guy who did so much of the work that helped us win Pennsylvania. Now you're there in New Jersey. And so I think what that shows is we have the maturity on the right to see where we need to go and surge the effort and get the resources there, human, financial, and otherwise. In terms of the specific dynamics of the race, it does seem that Ciattarelli has drawn into focus Mikey Sherrill's congressional stock trading. As someone who was always really against that, tried to ban it unsuccessfully, I'm wondering, is that issue cutting through to persuadable voters? Are you hearing from your ground force that people have discomfort with the wealth that Mikey Sherrill built trading stocks while in Congress?
Well, and Matt, let me give you credit. I mean, you were one of the only guys who consistently throughout your career, you kind of caught out the corruption, not just on the left, but even on the right when it came to stock trading. Yes, this issue is absolutely hitting home. Look, the issue of authenticity, I think in 24 we learned how much that matters. That still is the top issue. So when it comes to authenticity, Mikey Sherrill has some problems. One, the stock trading, I mean, her net worth tripling, that's absolutely insane. I mean, it's not like she's been in Congress for 40 years, so that's a big one. The second one is the whole cheating scandal, and her not releasing her records. If there's nothing to hide, release your records. The other big issue here is just going to be energy costs. I mean, these electric bills and these energy costs for blue collar working families, it's really something that's connecting at the door. And her message is, elect me, I'll make it lower. Excuse me, we've had a Democrat in office for the last 2 administrations, or at least the last 8 years. So I think right now Jack is connecting with voters. He's authentic. He's down to earth. He understands talking to real people. And I think Mikey Sherrill's like Kamala. The more she talks to people, the more people get to know her, the more votes she loses. So I like the position we're in. Things are trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I was on the Armed Services Committee with Mikey Sherrill. I never found her to be all that impressive a person. She seemed to just go whichever way the wind blows. And when the wind blows, it's costing people more money in New Jersey because of high energy costs. I'm seeing that issue really present in the issue matrix on a lot of the polling. I wonder if Jack Ciattarelli promises to pull out of this conglomerate of states that have energy regulations that drive costs, and he wins, do you think there are any other like New England, northeastern states where a governor could follow that path and specifically use this conglomerate of northeastern states on climate as a real whipping boy?
Well, I think Maine comes to mind. Obviously Maine now has a blue governor. I think a lot of the other states up there are pretty far gone. But yeah, I mean, listen, politicians care about 3 things: getting elected, getting reelected, and getting elected to higher office, right? So if the environment changes where all of a sudden there's a path to victory or a path to getting elected, and it means taking this playbook, yeah, I think politicians will react to that, both on the right and on the left, right? Which, I'm not expecting the left to get it together when it comes to energy policy anytime soon. But if they start to see the writing on the wall, yeah, I'm sure that they would shift. But look, the craziest thing about this race in New Jersey, yes, the issues matter for turnout on election day. But so many of these voters, they're not even looking at the name, Matt. As you said, you have all this time to get to them. There's 50 days, 45 days of vote by mail. It's going out to the people that aren't going to vote. But if they do, they're going to vote Republican. This is not a shot at Jack. This is not a shot at the Democrats that are going to vote for Mikey, but it's their playbook. You're just getting them to vote for the party. And so, yeah, the issues are resonating for turnout and for motivating people. But right now, we're just playing a game of trying to keep up with the Dems on getting those people that are not going to vote on election day to get a ballot and send it back. Blocking and tackling, plain and simple.
I've long said that while Republicans focus a great deal on why people vote, Democrats really had spent a lot more time than we had focused on how people vote. And what you just described is mechanizing our movement so that actually we don't get out-balloted in contests where we're effectively persuading people with our messages. I did want to ask you this, Cliff, because you're targeting those low and no propensity voters. Do they run the gamut of age, and income level, or is there a certain profile we're able to derive from the type of voter that we have to really motivate heading into the midterm elections?
It's across the board, right? It's not one single category that it fits in. You do have a lot of people coming over that are new Republicans. The registration numbers in New Jersey, although Republicans are down, it's been trending the right way, for 4 years. I mean, it's been trending in the right direction. But no, Matt, I mean, you're exactly right. It's 0, 1, and 2 out of 4 Republicans, meaning they voted in 2 or less of the last 4 elections. Those are the people we're talking to. And it's funny at the door, Matt, because they'll say, oh, don't worry, I always vote. It's like we're looking at the numbers. It's like, buddy, you haven't voted in 3 out of the last 4 elections, right? Like, you don't want to shame the voter. But a lot of people, they do think they're voting all the time, and it's just not a priority. The Democrats call this method annoying the voter. We don't call it that, but that's their strategy. We call it a reminder campaign, but that's what it is. you're just reminding people to vote. And when you have that consistency of going back to the same door every 7 to 10 days, eventually they ask the question, Cliff, how do I get you to stop knocking on my door? Hey, Matt, just vote. Once you vote, I'll never come back again until the next election. So once again, we're taking the Democrat playbook because it works. And in politics, technology and tactics, they're neutral. Use what works to win.
Yeah, I am having recollections of my own mother calling voters and saying she would stop calling them if they would simply return their mail-in ballot. And you know what? It does work. Cliff Maloney leads New Jersey Chase. He led PA Chase. This is the way we win elections. Thanks for coming on, Cliff, and sharing the strategy behind this very critical contest coming up.
Appreciate you and your viewers. Thanks, Matt.